Our Kind of People premieres Tuesday, September 21st at 9 p.m. It's inspired by the Lawrence Otis Graham's provocative, critically acclaimed book, Our Kind of People, Inside America's Black Upper Class. I love that title. The series takes place in the aspirational world of Oak Bluffs on Martha's Vineyard, a historical stronghold where the rich and powerful Black elite have come to play for over 50 years. The story was created by the lovely Karin Gist, and it's played marvelously by YaYa DaCosta, plays the character of Angela. Ladies, welcome to the Color Conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you both for being here. So we're going to jump right into it. So Karin, what inspired you to create this series?
What inspired me, the chance to be able to do it. What inspired me is the ability to tell our stories and be honest in the telling of our stories, to have flawed characters that are allowed to just be, and to make sure that we're, you know, for me, it's about family, it's about identity, it's about making sure that the show is part of the conversation. So what inspired me and what still inspires me as I continue to write the rest of the season is having the opportunity to just be raw and honest and create, you know, grounded characters like Angela Vaughn, and YaYa is doing a fantastic job. She is bringing it all to life in a way that I only could have dreamt. So it's been fantastic.
YaYa, how'd you get involved in the show?
I got involved because my last job was coming to a close for me, and there was a moment of stillness. Yeah. There was a moment of pause, right, between the ending of one contract and a world of possibilities. And so I was just confronted really surprisingly. I mean, I knew I had an inkling, you know, that the stillness wouldn't last for long, but I had no idea that it would be so much. And this stood out because of a lot of the topics dealt with, just having always been close to my heart already. You know, I'm a huge, you know, member of this, you know, burgeoning natural hair, you know, movement, you know, since 2004. And so it's also something that I haven't really spoken about much, or, you know, I've turned down so many, you know, offers for like collaborations with a brand or a brush or a cream, or, you know, and it just felt like a precious conversation that I wanted to have on my terms with the world. And so I began to do that on my own. And then when I read this script, I was like, wait a second, what's going on here? and it felt like an answer to one of my many, you know, questions and prayers and wishes and manifestations. So I was happy to join. Karin and I spoke. I also had great conversations with Lee Daniels and Tasha Smith, who directed the first 2 episodes. And they wooed me, and I'm so glad that they did, because I'm having such a good time. And it's great to be able to tell these kinds of stories.
Hey, just to piggyback on that, we had such a lovely Zoom conversation really late one night. It was me and Tasha and YaYa, and for me, that was such a special Zoom call, because we just 3 Black women got to talk about the possibility of the show and what we all want out of the show. And I'll never forget that. It felt like Kismet. It felt really special. So I'm proud of that, and I'm glad she's here.
Thank you, Karin. Thank you.
I noticed that there's a lot of female influence behind the camera as well as on the screen as well. I thought that, and I'm sure they're African American. I think that's great. I think that's phenomenal. That's wonderful. Yeah. What type of preparation did either of you do, Karin, to create the show, and YaYa to play the character of Angela Vaughn?
Well, preparation for me is like really digging in my brain and figuring out what I want to say and who I want those words, how I want those words to come out, digging into my own issues and family relationships and trauma and pain and joy and all of that, and figuring out how to pull that out and put that on the page and on the screen in a way that matters, in a way that I can be proud of, in a way that I think people will understand. So for me, the preparation always is about going inward and trying to make sure I'm being as honest as I can, while still making it as entertaining as I can. So my preparation is being still.
Okay, cool. Good answer.
For me, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare. It was like, okay, I'm saying yes. Oh, we start tomorrow? Okay. Cool, no problem.
Okay.
Now, so that being said, that's just to say I didn't have time to thoroughly read the book. I am, however, a fan of bibliomancy, which is just kind of, it's like a light form of divination where you just pick something up and you open it and you point to it. And so I've been doing that with the book, and it's been always so perfect. Like whatever sentence or paragraph I go to is so relevant and gives me the insight that I might need on set that day. And I went to, even though I'm from Harlem, I was not one of those families that knew anything about, that wealth, that experience of having wealth in America, right. Monetary wealth. We're rich in many other ways, but I did have parents who were educators, and they prioritized their education so much that we went to the best schools in the country, from Montessori school at 2, all the way through college prep boarding school for high school. All their 4 kids went to Ivy Leagues. We all got scholarships. So my exposure was kind of secondhand because I had friends who were like, yeah, we're going to my Vineyard. And I was like, wow, what's that like? And I never went with anybody. No. And so when this came up, there was a lot of serendipity. There was a lot, and someone said the word kismet earlier. I happened to have been on a beach and my sister was like, oh, meet this young lady who's my next door neighbor in this, in this island. And she was like, oh, meet my grandparents who happen to have been, Martha's Vineyard regulars for decades and decades. And I sat down with them and I heard their stories for hours. We made friends, we exchanged numbers. There were a lot of little things like that. So my research, some of it was me stepping forward and diving into worlds and remembering stories from my friends from college. And some of it just came at me. The universe was like, here you go, girl. You right. You doing the right thing right now, And it's beautiful. It's just so beautiful to feel that purpose, giving an extra oomph to the art. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm wondering, Karin, have you been to Martha's Vineyard before?
No, I was going to come out there this time, but I couldn't make it. But I will next year for sure. But I have not. No.
All right. And so, are your friends posting about it, and are you seeing pictures on your timelines about it as well?
My friends?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes, my friends are. Well, I have a lot of friends who do a vacation there. But I also have a lot of friends who are just really excited about the show.
Right.
So yeah, they
absolutely.
are posting. And the real life, we have a character in the show. Her name is Aunt Piggy, and there is a real life Aunt Piggy, and she is singing or screaming from the rooftops about our show to anybody at the church who listen.
Did either of you have a preconceived notion about Martha's Vineyard? Oh, you did. Okay. Do you still have that notion? Yeah.
I actually today read a beautifully written post on social media by this woman, Chantrell Lewis, who I've known from back in the day in New York. She founded, I think it's called, I don't want to misspeak, but she has a business, maybe Black owned everything, but she started this company that kind of makes it easy to find products and services owned by Black people. And she does a number of other things as well, but I saw a post and she talked about being in Martha's Vineyard right now at this film festival.
Oh, wow.
And this is her first time there. And she's there with friends and loved ones. And she just so beautifully spelled out how she, a Black woman who went, who comes from New Orleans, who comes from a very Black culture, very proud, African diasporic experience, went to the biggest HSBCU, how her preconceived notions about quote unquote bougie Black folk completely transformed. And she was, this visit was allowed her to embrace the opulence that all of us deserve. And it's just, I can't paraphrase what she wrote. It was just amazing. And I hope she doesn't mind me shouting her out, but I was just so inspired and moved by that post. Her handle is Shamtology, I think. Anyway, it was phenomenal. And I resonated with that because my preconceived notions were not super, and at the forefront of my mind, but there were, those people who did talk about going to the Vineyard. One of them was a roommate of mine in my sophomore year at Brown University. And she was very different. There were just things that I was taught.
She was a special child.
To not take for granted. And I just felt like, wow, I've only experienced that level of entitlement with people with no melanin. I didn't know that it was even possible for us to show up in the world demanding what we deserve. And so as a young person, I didn't fully understand it. And now I love it and respect it and adopt it in my life, in my practice, for sure. We deserve the wealth. We deserve to be able to vacation. We deserve, in whatever form, whether you want to call it reparations or not, there's so much owed to us and our ancestors. And so this festival and everything that happens on the Vineyard, your boats, your mansions, enjoy it. And hopefully more and more of us will be able to see, whether it's through reading the book or watching the show or, tapping in whatever way, just to see the possibilities and to stop being trapped by these notions of lack and limitation.
Okay.
Love that. I love that. Yeah. I one of the things, and I've said it before, but I really want the show to not be a show where it's about us and them. We start from that place, but I really think it's about bringing community together and showing sameness, regardless of bank account. Like that's the hope for me for the show. I know we have to start out in a place of conflict and it's TV and it's soap and you got to get in there. But ultimately what I want the audience to be rooting for and what I want us to do as a show is to all come together and we're all the same and we're all, there, and we all deserve the same things. And that is a North Star for me in terms of writing it. And I love that. Please share that post with me, YaYa. I don't want to, I want to read that. Yeah, please
I will.
do.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But it changed your impression a little bit. You look forward to being here one day.
I didn't, and I did not look forward to being there. I've always, as an individual, I've always had expensive taste, but it was more of a judgment, from a sociological perspective, that feels really good to release. And I'm curious, have you seen the exhibit in the museum? I think it's in DC, right? Don't they have a section?
Yes, they do. Yeah, they do. Absolutely. Yeah. I've seen it. I have seen it. Yeah.
What do you think about it?
It's not huge. It's like a window. Yeah, it's like a little window.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No, I was saying that my intention was to go either visit the Vineyard or go to the museum. Or the one when I started shooting. But there was no time.
Yeah, I want you to tell the audience a little bit about your character, Angela Vaughn, please.
My character, Angela Vaughn, is a young entrepreneur. She's 35. She's very passionate. She's carrying this torch, stepping into kind of her mother's shoes, living out a dream that her mother couldn't. Her mother worked on the Vineyard as a maid. And so, you know, Angela carries some, I don't know, some guilt, some thirst for justice surrounding things that her mother experienced on the vineyard and things that she discovers about herself. And so she's also a single mother to a 17-year-old. And because of, you know, how young she was when she had her, and also her really like, you know, hustle mentality, she didn't raise her daughter as thoroughly as she would have liked to. Her mother had a big hand in that. But since her mother passed away, Mama Eve, we call her, you know, there's all this space that she left, and we're trying to fill it. And you'll watch us through the episodes fill it with things that we find in common with each other, moments of conflicts, moments of sweetness and comfort. I mean, really dynamic relationships between me, my daughter, and also our aunt, who's my mom's sister, Piggy. And so seeing these three generations of Black women relying on each other for everything, I think is really beautiful.
It is coming across that way. It really is, YaYa. You guys are so in sync and you feel like a family. It's a family of three really strong women, which I just love seeing the three generations together. And thank you you kept all the secrets. I saw you were dancing around that, and you kept all the secrets. No spilling of the tea. And
exactly. I was going to ask. I read the first script. I read a piece of the first script, but I'm trying to get to the secret. So I didn't get that out of you, and she didn't give it up. Yeah, she did a good job.
Let them watch.
So Karin, why does TV need a show like Our Kind of People?
Why not? Because it's time. Because it hasn't been done before, and it's time for us to show the humanity of our characters, the bigness, going back to what YaYa was just saying, we all deserve this. So why can't we see it on the screen and celebrate it and be unapologetic about it? So the world needs it because we're here and we're not going to hide. And this is what the show is. So
what about the other characters? I know Morris Chestnut he plays is it Raymond?
Raymond DuPont, yes.
Raymond, I love the last name, DuPont. Okay, and you got Joe Morton in the show?
Yes, we do.
Everybody loves Joe Morton. I know my wife used to go on and on about his Papa Pope, what he played, right? And
yes.
Show. Yeah. So everybody loves Joe Morton. Who else is in the show?
We have Debbie Morgan. She plays Aunt Piggy. She's that third, that aunt.
Yeah, Morgan.
We have Nadine Ellis is Leah Franklin DuPont. Who else do we have?
Ryan Nicole Brown,
who
plays Leah and Raymond's daughter.
Yes. Alana Bright plays your daughter.
Newcomer. She's amazing. She's so wonderful.
She's wonderful. Okay. Kyle Berry plays our son, as Leah and Raymond's son. We have an amazing cast. Honestly, I am blessed with this cast. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. What type of guest appearances are you looking forward to?
So far our cast they're heavy hitters on their own, to be quite honest. So far we're just focusing on making sure the audience gets to know our core characters and really fall in love with them. And I think they will.
Okay, so you guys.
One thing about the show is that Karin and friends write a lot of parties, and so one of our parties has, and probably some more. I have to, but like we have special guests that come in, like musicians, singers, and
you're right. So, you're right about that.
There's a lot of highbrow parties. I think even in the first script I read, there was a lot of highbrow parties.
Oh yeah, we party a lot. It's the summer. They have to wear pretty things and go to parties. Like that is the point.
So even if it's not like actors, you'll see maybe a preacher, or a singer,
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that's very true. In Oaks Bluff or Martha's Vineyard, there's a lot of parties, and I guess there are some highbrow people there, whether you know them or not. But there's definitely a lot of parties. for sure. So you hit the nail right on the head with that.
Good.
Let me ask you this question, YaYa. Are you anyway kind of like Angela Vaughn in any way, shape, or form?
In a role, you know, it's not a movie, it's television. And with television, what ends up happening, because we move at such a fast pace, we end up using a lot of ourselves. I believe that any character that I play comes to me for a reason and lives within me and always has. But there are a lot of differences between Angela and who I have known myself to be up until this point in life. And so I'm learning things definitely about just the human psyche and you know, and ways that I express certain things. One example of that is that, you know, some people have told me that I come across as words like regal or poised or whatever. And I realized that, not that it's a handicap, but there was a disconnect when I had to do a scene that required not just anger, but rage.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, I don't know if I know how to really do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that society told me, you know, that it wasn't okay for me to do that. Mm-hmm. And so the examples that I have of that are all masculine embodied people. And I was like, ooh, this is really deep. And so there have been moments of stretching, which I love. And I'm learning a lot. I'm learning her, I'm finding her still. We just started episode 3. And I'm excited for the audience to take that journey with me.
All right, well, we look forward to it. Looking forward to it. September 21st, Our Kind of People, 9 p.m. Karin, you can have the last word and just say whatever you like to say to the audience.
Sure. Well, thank you for kind of being with us and helping us celebrate this show. And we hope that you sit back and enjoy it and see yourselves in it and see your families in it and enjoy the conversations around it. And it's going to be a wild and crazy ride, but just, you know, hang in there with us because we have a lot to say, and hope you enjoy it and see you next year.
All right, good deal. Thank you both, YaYa and Karin.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
All right.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.